name is Nicole. I'm a producer for the Remembering Them podcast. The podcast is a platform for people to share stories and memories of their loved ones who have passed away. The podcast was created in memory of Dad, Bob Cecil. May he rest in peace. Your host, Mark, Ryan, and Luke acknowledge the rich history and importance of storytelling within the indigenous culture.
My name is Jorgi Skeen, and I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet here today. Today we're meeting in Meanjin, and those traditional owners are the Yagara and Turrbal people. And I'd also like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge my people, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and extend that acknowledgement to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in today.
Hello, Luke. Welcome back to the podcast.
Morning, mate. Thanks for having me, as always.
Yes, as always, you and I again, but we're on for a part two, actually. Yesterday was just me flying solo, talking to our guest earlier this week. But fortunately, you've been able to join us. Ryan is away today, but I do have some, well, not necessarily some clues, probably similar. We've done this before because it's a very, I think it was a difficult city to give clues for because we've been here a number of times. It's a big city, so unveiling the curtain, it's Sydney. We're in Sydney. So what I thought I'd do, similar to what we've done previously with other major cities or countries for that matter, is give you some true or false questions, and you can try and guess if these clues or questions are true or false. Our guests can obviously play. Our listeners, I should say, can play along at home and see if they can. Well. Yeah, they could play as well. Pause and then guess. But let's go with the first. What we're after. So we're in Sydney. We're after some true or false for films, famous films that were filmed in Sydney, because Sydney is where our guest is from, obviously, if you haven't gathered that already. So the first film I've got for you today is, of course, The Matrix.
So true or false, was it filmed in Sydney?
Yes.
I have a feeling it was.
Yeah, it definitely was. I thought that one was a low-hanging fruit, an easy one, a softball, as Ryan would call it, an underarm pitch for baseballers out there. Yes, true.
I haven't actually seen them. Are they good movies?
You haven't seen The Matrix? Yeah, they are must-sees. Much of the original trilogy was filmed in Sydney, with the CBD transformed into a futuristic Sydney. So definitely worthwhile seeing those. Next movie I've got for you, you would have definitely heard of. These are all major movies I'm sure people have heard of. The Great Gatsby, 2013, starring Leo.
Ooh, that's a good one. No, surely not. Surely not.
You would be incorrect. That is true. Large parts of the film were at Fox Studios in Sydney, which is now Disney Studios, Australia. Film number 3, I've got 5 of these for you. Film number 3 is Mad Max, Fury Road.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's Fury Road, the new one, right?
The new one.
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, I think, was in this one.
No, Mel Gibson. I want to say false.
You would be correct. That is false. It was primarily filmed in Namibia, with studio work done in New South Wales, but mostly filmed in Namibia, which is interesting. Okay. Film number 4, Mission Impossible 2.
Oh, yeah, I do know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Lock it in, true. Yeah, that's an easy one. Opening scenes and several city sequences feature Sydney landmarks.
Yeah. I watched that just about once a week, so that was
that's an easy one. Final movie for you, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. I'm not sure what number that is, if it's second or third, because I know there's a number of those, but there's Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah.
I remember Pirates of the Caribbean. You'd watch the first or the second, and I was like, "Oh, these are cool movies," and then they just kept.
Then it got crazy. Yeah, I think I lost. I think I stopped after 2 as well.
Yeah. I don't even know what one this is. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it's false.
It is false. It was filmed in Australia, but actually mostly on the Gold Coast and surrounding areas, not in Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess today, just to recap for you and for anyone that hasn't listened back to the first episode, go back and obviously listen to that. Married to a husband of 9 years, she has two young boys. Hobbies and schedule revolve around the boys. That's in terms of school, daycare, activities, birthday parties. And I'll repeat this because you wouldn't have heard this, but she's a Disney adult, and a lot of people don't know that she was a cast member at Walt Disney World in Florida. So our guest today, again coming back, is from Sydney, is Abigail Rael Enriquez.
Roll out the red carpets.
Abbie, welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for coming back and joining us. I know we last catch up and last episode, if we're talking around the recordings, we mainly spoke about the, I guess, progress, the situation, the hospital situation, and what happened there with your mum. But if you want to give us a quick recap, who we're talking about, who we're remembering, and then I guess the purpose of today was really talk more about her
Yeah, yeah.
versus the the decline in health and that whole cancer situation.
Yeah, so again, we're talking about my beautiful mom, Elizabeth. She passed in October 2024 of stage 4 cancer at 69 years old. I am one of three daughters. And so apparently, I am part of her legacy. We will, I guess, learn about that a bit later on. But she also has two grandsons, which I have two boys. And yeah, my dad's still living. Well, they were still together at the time, and they were, God, 43 years married. They were approaching 43 years married. And yeah, like I'm happy to keep talking about her if you guys are good.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Tell us a little
yeah,
bit, Abby. Tell us a little bit about your mum. How would you describe her to a complete stranger? That gives us paints a really good picture, I think, of Elizabeth. I know, as I mentioned last time, we spoke about her health, the health battle, and how you experienced that, and also her decline in health. But let's talk about her prior to getting sick.
she was the most selfless person I've ever known. I mean, I already knew how selfless she was, but I feel like even when she was diagnosed, she would still check up on us instead of the other way around. And she was already the strongest woman I knew. Even back in 98, she was also diagnosed with kidney cancer. And she managed to battle that. I think at that time, she also was going through her own anticipatory grief. And I didn't know. God, I can't even remember. I was like 9 years old. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, you're good. Like, I guess adults go through this. Like, yeah, you'll be fine. And unbeknownst to me, she was already telling my older sister, like, hey, like, are you guys gonna be okay if like I am no longer here? So my sister still remembers stuff like that. But she was so strong to have um, gone through that and I guess get to the other side of that first cancer. Um, she also, like, maybe I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. Like I said, we're Filipino. She's full Filipino. My parents are full Filipino. She lived in this town called Baguio. And it's like mountain province in the Philippines. She grew up very poor. Like I think I'm only learning of how hard it was for her growing up when she passed. Just the stories that my auntie and my uncle, her siblings, would tell us. And I was just like in awe of how how far she had come. And like I think how you wouldn't be able to pick up like her hardship. Um, like as her daughter, I would never have known that she went through that kind of hardship and that poverty. when she was young. So yeah, she was in Baguio, and I actually asked my auntie. This is me being so oblivious. I'm like, hey, what degree did mom finish again? Like, I don't think I've asked these things about her. And she goes, she went to Baguio College and she did a double degree. She was magna cum laude in accounting and summa cum laude in economics. So she was very, very intellectual. She was so hardworking, so intelligent. And then she went into accounting in IBM in the Philippines. Again, she was probably the hardest working woman I knew. I barely, back in the Philippines, like we don't, as a working parent, like middle class working parent, you don't really get to pick up your kids from school. We'd have drivers and maids that would kind of do that for us. But I would still remember the handful of times that she'd pick me up from school. And I swear it was like the highlight of my week because she never got to do that. And for her to also be doing volunteer work at my school at the canteen, I was just like, wow, like my mom's super mom. You know, she works full time and she has time to volunteer and she gets me my food like through the canteen. I'm just like, mom, I'm just pointing and I'm like, I want this and that and that, and she's just giving it. Um, and like she at the time she was still driving and she was like so badass. I'm like, wow, mom, like she can drive like 2 hours to work and then she can pick me up sometimes. I'm like, wow, like I don't get to see much moms like her because other moms like her were either like stay at home moms or they barely get to see their kids, and I feel like she had that good balance of like being able to work and still being to provide time for her kids. And then eventually in 2002, we she was like talking to her family. Most of her family we're now here in Australia, and they were like, oh, we can bring you over here. And she's like, yeah, I want to provide a better life for my kids. Like, I don't think Philippines can provide that for them. So as difficult as it was for my parents to leave like high paying jobs in the Philippines, they were like, we want to do this for our kids and their future. So yeah, like I mentioned, I'm one of three girls. The three of us kids, and then my parents, all five of us, flew to Sydney in 2002 and then started a life here. um, Very hard again for them. I feel like they had to kind of start from the ground. My dad was more like, I think he found it the hardest because he didn't have family, he didn't have friends over here. Aside from like his immediate family, he didn't have like his siblings with him. And so it took him a while to adjust. It took him a lot of back and forth going from here to the Philippines as well. I think he was a lot happier over there because he had a lot of friends and family. And so my mom had to juggle kind of like being a single parent at the time, even though they were still together. It was probably every 3 months they would see each other. He would come back to Australia and be able to stay a couple weeks and then go back. And I didn't realize it at the time that it must have been so hard for my mom to kind of start from the ground up looking for a job and then still trying to provide for our family, and then like just juggling,
In a whole
being
new country as well. And
whole new
yeah.
country, being with her siblings and trying not to show her siblings that she's having a difficult time.
Mm.
And her mom was here too at the time, and I don't think they ever saw that she was having a difficult time because, like, a lot of the time as well, I remember she would kind of like shut the door and she was just by herself. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think she just needed time to process. Again, like, so new country, trying to give new opportunities to your kids and make sure that like they can see that they have an example, and that she's setting that example for her kids that like, hey, like I can do this, I'm resilient, I'm ambitious. And then eventually my auntie managed to get her a job at the local council, so she started off in customer service. She was like a high paying accountant at in the Philippines, and now started from customer service, um, and just kind of working her way up. Ended up staying in the council for 20 plus years, so until she got sick, she was in council, and she did manage to work her way up to God, I forgot what it was. Buying, and I think she was in the buying team. Um, and it was there's just a lot of stuff that I feel like I'm learning as I look back on my mom, and like how strong she was through that period. Eventually my dad did come over here, get a full-time job at another council, and they managed to, like, be able to parent again properly, and together. And there was a lot of, I think, my mom really had to put aside um, a lot of her feelings, and just make sure that she was still showing up as positively as she can for us. She never really like showed us how hard it was for her, like I mentioned.
Yeah. But based on what you've learnt past her passing, Abbie, but also maybe during, um, because as you mentioned, you saw times, maybe not picked up on it then, but now looking back, you can recognise, she needed time when she closed the door, that kind of thing. What lessons did you learn from your mum from, as I said, growing up, moving to the new country with her, but also now post her passing away? What lessons have you taken from her life that you will, live with going forward? Whether that be you personally, with your kids, as a spouse, what type of life lessons have you learned from your mum?
There's a lot. I think immediately after I lost her, I was just like, don't sweat the small stuff. There's a lot of the times, even prior to losing her, I was worried about work and, doing brand plans and presentations and whatnot. And then I was like, what is all this for? I tended to question everything. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like in the end, like, are people going to remember us for our titles, or are they going to remember us for how good of a person we are and how we showed up and our strength? Um, and I think I'm learning more and more about that, and more of like a balance of that, because at the beginning of this interview I mentioned like how she was so intelligent, and like she had a double degree, and a lot of people are like trying to go to their masters and doing so many certificates and whatnot, and I'm like, but what for? Like, is that going to be on your headstone later on? You're gonna be like, hey, Abbie like had 6 degrees, and like, but she barely had time for her kids. Like I tend to question a lot of that stuff, but definitely one of the main things I learned um, immediately when she passed was like, don't sweat the small stuff. Um, Try and be, as hard as it is and as easy as it is for me to say, it's like, chase what makes you happy. Um, because looking back on her life, I feel like she selflessly gave up her life for us. As much as she wanted to travel and explore the world, like, I feel like in a way we were the setback, because she had to be there for us. And I feel like I'm kind of being like that right now, because not that I'm saying my kids are setting me back, because I feel like she wanted to explore the world with us. But because maybe we were still too young, and maybe we were at maybe she just wanted us to finish our studies and, like, find our happiness, that she probably didn't want to take us away from that, and like take us and travel and all that. And I feel like I'm also finding myself in that situation right now, where I'm like, I don't want to travel unless it's with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was her. I think she was like that too, a lot of the time. um Another lesson that I think I learned was that uh that I feel like I'm contradicting myself when I say this, because when I say I am like, don't sweat the small stuff, no one's going to remember how many degrees you've done and blah blah blah, but um a huge part of what allowed her to move her whole family here and to adjust, and to just better herself, was she had a really, really good education, and a good educational upbringing. Um, and I mentioned that because she she managed to write us letters before she passed. She managed to write pretty much, they're not like detailed letters. It was like one big letter that managed to address her husband, her three kids individually, her son-in-law, my husband, her two grandsons, and then also her siblings in that one letter. And that part where she's talking to her siblings is that saying, she said, um, education brought us out of poverty. Um, and I feel like I now need to kind of like make that legacy known to my kids, and like, look, your Oma managed to come out from such a hard um childhood, and bring all of us this life because of her education. And I really need to like instill that in them, that she was the reason why we were able to be here, and I think she's the reason why sometimes I am able to speak highly of people rather than lowly of them. She never really complained as well. So even throughout her diagnosis and her therapy sessions, like she was always like speaking highly of people. And not just that, like, if I can talk about faith on this podcast, she was a very, very faithful woman till the very end. And that's something I also have learned throughout this journey. It's like, as hard as it is to find my relationship with God and a higher power, she stayed true throughout and was still so devout. And that faith never wavered until her last breath. So I try and still really keep the faith, because I mean, I can't there's gotta be a higher being, and there's gotta be a higher power to still be able to show up for us and give us the blessings that we do right now.
Yeah. I remember you mentioning that in our last chat about organising the priest to come and see her at the hospital when she was unfortunately, going to pass away. And I take your point also around the education, Abbie. And then, I don't know, you said it feels like you're contradicting yourself. Not necessarily. I mean, my take on it is that, and you mentioned this so well, or articulated so well, that the education that your mum put herself through gave you the opportunity to give you a better life. So I don't. My perception is I certainly don't feel like she was chasing degrees for clout or anything like that,
Yeah,
as people
yeah,
put it
yeah.
these days. So I think that's a wonderful lesson that you've taken from her, that the education that she put herself through and was able to achieve provided for a better life for not only her but for her family. And ultimately, I think you can take that lesson with your kids as well. What is it going to provide? You're not just chasing degrees for, to hang them on the wall or put on your headstone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's to improve ourselves.
Yeah. Abbie, I wanted to ask favorite memories. What are some of your favorite memories or stories that you have of your mum?
This is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Hey Luke and Ryan, life gets heavy sometimes, especially when grief hits. For me, that weight often shows up as anxiety.
Yeah, it's not always one big thing. Sometimes it's just life piling up, work, relationships, trying to hold it all together. Suddenly, I'm anxious and don't know why.
Totally. I used to think anxiety meant panic attacks, but for me, it's more like overthinking every choice or feeling like I'm never doing enough.
And it can even hit on good days. Out of nowhere, I'm spiraling over things that haven't even happened yet.
It's easy to feel alone in it, but you're not.
That's why we're talking about our paid partner, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp connects you with credentialed therapists who can help manage anxiety and more.
Most people go to BetterHelp for anxiety, and 69% feel better after just 6 weeks.
Getting started is simple. Fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a therapist. If it's not a fit, you can switch at any time.
Their support team is super responsive, and with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 Trustpilot rating, it's a platform you can count on.
So let BetterHelp help manage your anxiety so it doesn't manage you.
Click the link below or go to betterhelp.com/rememberingthem for 10% off your first month.
Gosh. There's a lot, but see, that's the thing. When someone asks me that, I tend to go to funny, but kind of like stupid memories instead of oh
Yeah,
my
no,
God, she was the
totally
best
cool.
mom.
No, do that. We love those kind of stories.
I mentioned earlier when she would pick me up from school and she would
Yes.
work at the canteen. Those were such good highlights for me. There was a time that she picked me up from school and she never swore. I would never hear this woman swear unless she was quoting someone. She said she I think she dropped something and she said putik, and putik in our language means mud, but it sounded so bad in my ears that I was 7 at the time and I was like, oh my God, my mom swore. And she's like, no, it's not. And she was like, never mind. She also always she always talked over the TV. Always talked over the TV, always talked over the movie. And it was just watch the damn movie. Watch it. Stop asking us. We're watching the same thing. You can't ask me something that I'm learning at the same time as you. My kids do exactly the same thing she does. And I'm just like, what is this right now? Oh my God, it's so uncanny the way they just act like their Oma. God, she never drinks really, but she would drink Moscato. We're the same. We have sweet tooth, and she loves her ports and her Moscato sweet wines. And we went to Hunter Valley December 2020 as we went in a whole big van. There were 7 of us, and we did what you do in Hunter Valley. You do wine tastings, and we just hop from one winery to another, and it's just small sips. But she acted like she was so drunk. She was just oh my God, what is this again? And she started getting so loose and I don't know, going on on a tangent about something, and I remember I was recording her and then I'm like, where are we right now, Mom? And she's like, I don't know, where are we right now, Steve? And she's asking me, my husband, where are we? And she was laughing her head off. And I swear to God, we were just you have not had anything. You think you had something, but that was water. You didn't have anything, or it was alcohol free. And she was acting as if she was so drunk. And I'm like, no, you're not. she does that a lot. If she thinks that she's drank, she will start acting as if she's drunk and loose and all that. And she just laughs so much. And that was one of my favorite things, like pretending to offer her a drink and pretending that it was alcoholic. And it wasn't really, like she just start like laughing out of nowhere. And I think what I really miss about her right now, especially these days, is like her laugh. She had the most infectious laugh. And it was so, I can distinguish it out of anywhere. Like if for example, my sister was playing a video in another room and it was her, like my ears would perk up and I'm just like, that's her laugh. And the same, my kids know her laugh so well, that they know that if I'm watching a video of my mom, they'll be like, "Oh my God, is that Oma? Is that Oma?" And they just start like watching with me, and they're just like so in awe and enamored. Um, my God, she was like she had a face that could just like light up the room. That immediate smile could just uh, like all your worries are just gone. And I miss that so much. um I don't know, like do your guests get teary on the
Absolutely,
podcast? Because
all the
I
time,
think
all
it's
the time.
beautiful.
I'm getting teary right now, but I'm really trying to hold it back because
While you're thinking and you have that image in your head, Abby, and while you're thinking about it, I asked you before to describe her as a person. What about physically? You mentioned her smile. Then, how would you describe your mum physically? How do you remember her?
I remember her as the healthiest woman ever. Like it's funny, like when you lose someone from a disease or a sickness, they look so different compared to what your mind remembers them. But
Yeah,
my mind remembers her clear as day, that she is like in her 50s and she is so healthy with this glowing warm skin, this very warm smile, and like a hug that could just like, that you just know that hug from anywhere. And um yeah, it's just weird because I have lately I've been having lots of dreams about her, and they're dreams that she is so well and healthy, and I don't even remember how she looked in the end. I mean, like when I say in the end, like in her final hours.
mhm.
But, and if I may, like I said, I held her hand until her final breath. And when we left that room that night to say bye to her, she was glowing. She was so radiant. Like I had never, I know my mom's beautiful and I know like I will always say she's beautiful, but at that moment, like I was like, God, no, you are so beautiful. Like her skin was radiating. She was at peace. And you can see the difference between the pain she was feeling just before and to her like just being so at peace. Like she looked like she didn't age. And that's exactly how I remember her. Like she was so at peace. She looked so happy, closed with her eyes closed. And it's so different when you see them the first time when they like open the casket, because you're like, I was expecting to see that. I was expecting, oh my God, like I was even telling people like she was so beautiful when she was laying there. But then they opened the casket, and I was just like, that's not how I remembered you. And it it that's when it sunk in that I was like her soul had left that body. Like she was not in there anymore. Because that's not how I remember her.
Yep.
Sorry.
Abbie, no, totally fine. I wanted to ask, switching gears to some of her favorite things, favorite foods. Did she like films? What was Mum's some of her favorite things in life?
See, when a couple, maybe about 6 weeks after she passed, I felt like I had this itch and this like calling to like share more about her on social media. And so on my social media, I started this series every week called Mom Mondays. It was like hashtag Mom Mondays, and I shared something about her every Monday. And one of her, and I would share exactly stuff like that, like her favorite foods, her favorite films, what did she like doing in her pastime. Um, Her favorite foods were always, it always had to be like a Filipino food, like whether it was like kare kare. I don't know if you're familiar with kare kare. It's like this peanut dish with like meat. There had to be like a home cooked Filipino food is what she was always craving for. And when she could no longer cook them, she knew my dad was hopeless at cooking, and so she was calling my husband because my husband cooks really well. And so she would actually message him and be like, "Hey, can you cook this for me? But don't tell anyone, okay? Like, don't tell anyone you're cooking this for me. Like, just like
That's what you
drop it
happen to be
off."
cooking, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just say
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I was thinking about you. I'm just dropping this off." And like, I saw those messages. My husband showed me the messages that my mom would send, and I was like, "Oh my god, why doesn't she ask me to cook? Like that's so rude. Like I can cook, but maybe like not as well as my husband." But oh, she always asked him because he just added so much more flavor to it. She'd ask for like torta, which was like an omelette. It's like an omelette but mixed with meat, with minced meat. And she even like a couple months before she passed, she really wanted to go to this Filipino restaurant that's like just a 20-minute drive from us called Sir Manong. And we were just like, "Mom, order anything you want." And like, God, the table was huge, and we filled it up with all of her favorite foods. And she could even just like have little bits of it, little spoonfuls, but she was just like so happy and so satisfied. And you know that like happy dance that you do when you've eaten something that you really wanted, that she was doing that little happy dance. And I can still remember it. And she was just like so fulfilled and so satisfied. Films, this is where I'm just like, I thought I knew what her favorite films and her TV shows were, but I'm learning more about her even when she's passed. Um, I thought she always just wanted to watch like Hallmark movies, like rom-com movies and Christmas movies and stuff. She loved those. Like I would visit and she would be watching those types of movies. Right. And so I said that on my Mom Mondays series. I said that. I was like, "Oh, she would love Hallmark style movies." And then I shared that with my sister, and she's like, "Mom likes action movies." I was like, "What?" She's like, Mom likes like hardcore, like guns and weapons." And I was like, are we talking about the same mom right now? And she's like, yeah, like her comfort show is like Law and Order, like as if you didn't know that. And I was like, what? Uh, like Law and Order? Like seriously? She's like, yeah, and that's why I love watching Law and Order right now. I'm like, what the heck? And so I'm learning more about her as she's passed because I feel like I sorry if that kind of came. I'm learning more about her because like I said, for a good 7 years or so, I wasn't living at home anymore. And so Law and Order, I had no idea. She would watch anything that my sisters were watching as well. And they were very into like RuPaul's Drag Race, the show. And she was like so getting into it. She was like, oh my God, like look at what they're wearing. It's so extravagant. And she knew the characters. And I was like, maybe I didn't know my mom as much as I thought I did. And it's so weird to me that like how you can know more about a person even after they've passed. Do you guys
Yeah,
feel
definitely.
that?
I think people, obviously, people have different experiences, and they'll have seen them in different lights and have different stories and memories of them as well. So I think it's wonderful that you're still able to learn more about her, and she opened herself up in different ways to different people. So that's I think it's nice.
Yeah.
I think it's because you're the baby, aren't you, Abbie?
No, I'm the middle child.
Oh, you're the middle child. Oh, okay.
I'm the forgotten one.
Yeah, that explains it. No, because I'm the baby, Mark's the oldest, so I'm assuming like us in the other seat for Dad, Mark would have so many more memories of Dad as opposed to me. So I think it's just it's also that's just the timing, and then the grace that you give them. Like our mum watches silly TV shows all the time, but I just don't pay attention. so she could tell me her favorite movie or favorite show is Law and Order as well, and I'd just be like, oh, I had no idea because I just don't entertain it.
The Remembering Them podcast is supported by My Legacy Message. How do you want to be remembered? My Legacy Message provides a service that delivers a personalized keepsake video to your loved ones, often as a surprise after you pass. My Legacy Message, be remembered.
Yes. But isn't it like how ironic that you want to learn more about them after they passed?
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned that in our last conversation, Abby, about having those conversations and asking them about their life, because now it's only now, and we're finding that out too after Dad passed away, that it's a shame we didn't have those type of conversations, favorite movies and that kind of thing. I think you can have an idea, but as you said, talking to your sisters is completely different. You would have had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She loves Taken, like the movie Taken.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what the heck? And now
Actually, I think
every time they
our mum loved that as well.
Yeah.
such a good movie. I had never watched it until my sister said my mom loved Taken.
Yeah.
Now I can't. I've watched all of them.
Yeah. I mean, how will you, I guess, whether it's you and your immediate family with the boys and your husband, or even larger to that, you and your sisters and the extended family and your dad as well, of course, how will you remember your mum going forward in terms of preserving her legacy? Are there things that you will do, or what have you got in place, or things that you've already been doing?
Oh. I ask myself this question every day. Little things I think to keep her legacy is to just every day I try and still pray the rosary. She prayed the rosary every day. And I also teach my boys to pray, not necessarily the rosary, but just pray every day. And I always think of, how people say WWJD, like what would Jesus do? I'm always like, what would mom do? Like, Mom, what would you do in this case? Because like I need your guidance and you're not here to guide me. Like I just need advice and you're not here to give that to me. And so I always try to look at things from a lens of like, what would my mom do? And I think a lot of the time now, I am just wanting to act and do action straight away. But I think my mom was a lot more um, graceful in things where she would just allow time to kind of like pass and like really think things through before acting. And she would like ask the questions. Like I was never one to ask questions before as well. But now I'm asking like, what would you do in this instance? Like, what would you prioritize? And even at work, I'm like, what would I prioritize? And what would my mom prioritize? And I would just ask myself questions like that. So that's one of the things I'm doing, just trying to put myself in my mom's shoes. Like, what would she do? Something that we really wanted to do prior to her passing, and that she really wanted to do as well, was to visit Europe. She wanted to visit the Vatican. We didn't get to do that. And so in a couple months' time, we will be doing that. And so I'm really excited and to like step foot on European soil and just be like, Mom, this is for you. This is what you wanted. Here is something that we hope we're making you proud of right now. Yeah, like just trying to be happy, but making sure that that happiness isn't hurting anyone else.
I think that's a wonderful way that you can honor her, Abbie, in terms of placing yourself in that situation in terms of what she would do in that situation, whether it be, parenting or another situation. I think that's a wonderful way you can honor her legacy moving forward and keep her memories alive, even with the simple thing, as you mentioned, with the boys, praying, because that's what was important to her, and that's what she had built a strong faith in. So I think the fact that you're honouring her that way with the boys is beautiful. And while we're speaking about placing yourself in position and asking her what she would do, our final question we normally ask for the podcast: if your mum was in front of you today, granted it's been a couple of years, so be kind to yourself when thinking about this and answering this question, what would you say to your mum if she was in front of you today?
I think I'd want to ask her, am I making her proud? Something I ask myself every day. And like she doesn't even have to answer it, like she can just give me that look. And I know that that look, right? You know that look that your loved one gives you, whether they're happy or they're not, or if they're wanting a bit more from you. I would know that look straight away. She just has to give me a look. I talk to her every day, and a big part of me wants to say, we're okay. Like, Mom, we're okay. Like, it's okay. Were you there when your dad passed?
Luke was. We had a. I wasn't, unfortunately. We had a COVID situation. I was over the border, but
I see.
Luke was there.
Yeah. I don't know, Luke, if you were talking to him, like during the final moments, and were you saying stuff like, "We'll be okay"?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what you said. it was a bit of a Joe was there as well, our middle brother. So
Oh
he was
yeah.
there for a bit longer than I was. But yeah, that was probably one of the last things that I remember saying, like, oh, this will you'll feel better, and you'll be okay, and we'll be okay. Because I much the same as probably yourself, Abbie. That's probably the priority of dad, and the same for your mum. Are the kids okay? Is everyone else okay? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I want to say so many things. I just want to like word vomit to my mom and be like, I told you we were gonna be okay, but I'm not okay. Like I want you to be here, but you're not here. Like I want you to guide me and give me all the advice, but you can't. I just want I want her to know that if we're not okay right now, we will be. And that if I am not making her proud right now, that I will be. And I promise that. And I will keep promising that. Oh.
Thank you, Abbie. Thank you for being vulnerable with that answer. And obviously we didn't have the pleasure of meeting your mum, but I think we can safely say on the base of our couple of conversations we've had now that you'd be making your mum proud simply by continuing to talk about her and passing on those lessons and taking to heart what she had passed down onto you. And I will just say, I think that's all, and you can speak to this as a parent too, and I can speak to this as a parent, but I think I can also reflect back on our experience with dad, that all he wanted to know is that we would be okay, that our mum, his wife, would be okay, and the family would be okay going forward. So I think you're accurate in saying that's all she would want to know as well. So the fact that if you are or will be okay, then that can probably give you some peace potentially. But thank you so much. If I can wrap up by saying thank you so much for coming back and sharing stories
Thank
and memories of your
you.
mum. It was wonderful hearing about her, because I know, as I said, the first conversation we talked a lot about the illness, but it was wonderful hearing about those little stories
Yeah.
and memories that you have. It's beautiful. Thank you
Thank you
again.
so much, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, look, that was Abbie from Sydney, very close to home, Filipino heritage as well. So it was wonderful hearing about her mum Elizabeth, her beautiful mum Elizabeth, that she obviously holds dearly, holds memories dearly, and all the lessons she learned from her. So it was good having her back for the second part. We obviously heard about or you'll hear it back when you listen to it. I had in person, or you know, one-to-one, obviously
First
spoke about
recording.
the on the first recording, the
Yeah.
battle, the cancer battle. So it was wonderful hearing it back, coming back, and just, I guess, having a lighter conversation around nice things and stories and memories and lessons and that kind of thing. So that was really cool. Grateful to Abbie for coming on
That
and
was amazing.
giving up her time. It was,
That was great.
as you
That was
mentioned to
great.
her as well, it was a bit close to home, because there were so many similarities there, I think, between Elizabeth um, and our mum, that remind us a lot about our mum. So it was really cool.
Yeah,
So just quickly, reminder to everyone, jump on our Patreon, patreon.com/remembering them podcast, to support the podcast, but also $5 a month US, $9 a month Australian, roughly, where you can hear the exclusive chat that we had with Abbie after our main discussion. For another 5-10 minutes, we spoke a little bit more about heritage and a few other things in there as well, but that's the exclusive chat. But also there's a lot of free content on there as well. Reminder to share this episode with anyone that you think might get value out of it, or that might help someone. Give the podcast a 5-star rating and review, ideally on your preferred podcast platform. We do have the My Legacy Message service as well, mylegacymessage.com.au, support of the podcast, and also the BetterHelp partnership, betterhelp.com/remembering them. 10% off your first month subscription if you need to speak to a credentialed therapist. I think that's it. Luke, great chat there with Abbie. I'm so grateful you were able to meet her and speak to her on our second recording. Abbie, thank you for your initial first recording as well. That was really important conversation as well. So thank you so much for jumping on. Abbie, thank you, Luke, for joining us. Hopefully Ryan, we'll see him sometime soon.
Oh, to be honest, we're not missing him. If we keep having guests like Abbie,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a great chat. But thankful for that. Thankful for you, mate. Thankful for the podcast and our listeners.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
until next time.
Looking
mate.
forward to the next one. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
The Remembering Them podcast is created for entertainment purposes. Mark, Ryan, and Luke are not licensed mental health professionals. If you would like to discuss your mental well-being, several resources are available in Australia. Information about these services are available in the podcast notes. Please take the time to contact your loved one today and tell them how much you appreciate and love them.